Hey guys, welcome back, it's Meg. Today we are going to be going over some of the changes that we got in 10.0.7, as well as some of the things that have changed since the beginning of the expansion in terms of stat priority, talent builds, and playstyle in Mythic+. Stat-wise, we've been playing Intellect, Haste, Crit, Verse, and Mastery. Haste is our best stat by far under main stat as it increases our hot tick rate, reduces our cast times, and lowers our GCD, which allows for better Chi windows and general DPS rotations when looking for Rising Sun Kick resets. Between Crit and Verse, it comes down to whether you're doing high enough keys where you're starting to get one shot. If so, then you'll want to prioritize Verse over Crit, and then now Mastery comes in last. In the first guide that I did for 10.0, Mastery was our second highest stat for Mythic+, and this ultimately came down to the fact that the rest of our kit was a bit undertuned, and Chi did all of the heavy lifting when it came to triaging group-wide. Now that we've had some tuning passes, as well as dungeons being nerfed significantly, we can opt for more Crit as it benefits our healing and our damage. Mastery is still good for chunky heals with Chi, but it doesn't contribute to our damage, and the healer checks are significantly easier than they were earlier in the expansion. Taking a look at our class tree first for talents, it's not very different from the beginning of the expansion. This is generally what I run for Tyrannical weeks. For Fort weeks, I will drop Disable and Fort Brew to take Paralysis and another point and save them all. White Tiger Statue is an option for extra damage, although I don't find it to be worth it, so I will usually opt out. Our spec tree looks a bit different than it did in the beginning of the expansion, the main differences being that we now have access to Shaelin's Gift, and that was reintroduced in 10.0.5, and now in 10.0.7 we also have access to Legacy of Wisdom, which makes Shaelin's a 5-target heal, up from a 3-person heal. It also reduces the cast time to a second and a half, down from 2 seconds. They have also reworked Enveloping Breath. It is now named Celestial Harmony, and it functions exactly as it did before. However, now when you trigger your Celestial, you will get 5 Chi Cocoons that are 10% of caster health, plus some Verse scaling. It's fairly minor, but it does add up over time, and it makes it so that Celestial is no longer an empty GCD. It is also worth noting that they are very specifically called Chi Cocoons to differentiate between our cooldown Life Cocoon. Any of the talents that work with Life Cocoon will not work with Chi Cocoon, as they are two completely separate abilities. It's just a similar theme. Most of the things that we have received are fairly minor and also more quality of life oriented, like the new interaction between Enveloping Mist and Thunder Focus Tea. When you use Thunder Focus Tea with Enveloping Mist, it is now an instant cast, so this could have some value with Chi, or if you are using it with Echoing Reverberation, it is just reducing the cast time by removing it. So it's mostly quality of life, but there could be some min-max stuff in there if you are looking for that kind of playstyle. I do want to talk about Legacy of Wisdom, Shaohao's Lessons, and Veil of Pride in a little bit more depth, as that actually influences our playstyle pretty heavily. Prior to 10.0.7, Mistweaver had an issue covering group-wide damage outside of Chi. They nerfed Vivify back in beta, and that also affected the Cleave, which was previously the way that we handled group-wide damage when we didn't have Chi or Revival. So because of that change, we did have a problem for quite a while, but it was manageable. We definitely felt like something was missing, though. So fast forward to 10.0.5, we were given back Shaelin's Gift, but it ended up falling short in terms of performance for healing because it was extremely unreliable, which also effectively killed the value of Veil of Pride. Without Legacy of Wisdom, it's a 3-target heal with a slight bias towards your target, but there was no way to control who is actually going to be receiving the heals. Now in 10.0.7, we again have another capstone to modify Shaelin's. This has brought Veil of Pride back into the conversation for certain situations, as Shaelin's is now a reliable heal and it can be used to triage without having to hope that it hits the right players. So Lessons will still remain the default choice as it contributes to damage and healing. However, Veil of Pride could see some really good use on fights like Veximus and Algathar Academy, Odin and Halls of Valor, the Lightning Channeler Trash Packs and Ruby Life Pools, as well as the last boss of Ruby Life Pools, Azure Blade and Azure Vaults, and so on. These fights would change quite a bit with access to Legacy, because with each of these encounters there is 3+ targets worth of damage going out, frequently enough that you could benefit from the additional cloud generation that Veil would provide. Overall, I am very happy with Legacy of Wisdom. They got rid of the Mastery interaction with Shaelin's entirely, so it also removes the step of having to Essence Font prior to the cast, because it was kind of a long sequence to Essence Font and then cast a 2-second cast. Even though it's hasted, it still took a long time, especially considering the fact that we are in melee and you are dealing with things like Storming, Spiteful, Quaking, anything that has frontals. It is just very disruptive to the playstyle. So the reduced cast time, in addition to it still being hasted and removing that qualifier of having to have Essence Font out is actually very nice. I half considered the Shaylin's Legacy introduction a buff, and I half consider it quality of life. There's not really a reason that it shouldn't have been able to hit 5 players from the beginning, and I'm still kind of in the boat where I think that legacy should just be baked into Shaylin's, but beggars can't be choosers. I'm happy with it overall. I think that this is definitely a really good step in the direction of trying to get away from relying on Vivify so much. There's a lot of situations where we won't even have to Vivify anymore because of Shaylin's and Legacy being completely reliable, and I think that it's very good that they are able to tune Legacy and Shaylin's more for Mythic Plus without influencing the playstyle too much in Raid, as Vivify Cleave is a big part of the Raid playstyle at the moment. So I hope that this video was helpful. I know it had been a while since I had done a guide type of update since 10.0, and there's been a lot that has changed in terms of tuning and additional talent changes, so I'll try to be more on top of that in the future. If you guys have any questions, you can always come into stream and ask. Also, my Discord, I'm very active in there, and we will usually go over all of the things that happen as they happen. So I hope that this video was helpful. If you guys have any comments or questions, feel free to hit me up on Twitch, Twitter, or Discord. I will see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.